ask you something, real talk, yo. Have you ever been up late at night staring at the ceiling and felt this weight in your chest? It's heavy. You can feel it, right? Like there's something off. But you can't put your finger on it. But here's what it is. You're questioning whether the people in your life, the ones who should be closest to you, truly value you. You're sitting there trying to convince yourself that they care, even when their actions are screaming the complete opposite. And I get it. I've been there. You've been there. It's that moment when you're asking yourself, do they really love me? Do they care about me the way I care about them? But here's the hard truth, folks. Love, care, and respect, those are not things you should have to beg for. You hear me? They should be given freely by the people who truly see your worth. Now listen to me. Not everyone in your life is there for the right reasons. I'm talking about people who come around just to take from you, or people who love you when it's convenient for them. But let me tell you, it's time for us to be real with ourselves. Sometimes we don't want to admit it. We hold on to people who show us time and time again that their priority is not us. And why do we do that? Because we're afraid of letting them go. We're scared. We don't want to face the pain. It feels unbearable. But here's the thing, my friend. You've got to face that pain. You've got to face that pain. You've got to embrace the truth. The truth will set you free. You cannot live in peace if you're holding on to something that's not meant to be there. So let me break this down for you. I'm going to give you 4 clear signs that someone doesn't really care about you. 4 unmistakable behaviors that should open your eyes. And I need you to hear this, because once you see this, it's time to act. First one, they dismiss your feelings. Oh yeah, this one cuts deep. You ever been there? You open up, you lay it all out, your heart, your soul, you put it on the line. And what do? They shrug it off like it doesn't matter. Oh, you're overreacting. It's not that serious. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? Man, that right there, that's a dagger to your heart. I don't care who you are, that hurts. It's like they're telling you your pain, your struggles, your joy, your tears, they don't matter. And when you get hit with that, you start to doubt yourself. You start thinking, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm too emotional. But let me remind you of something, my friend. Your feelings are valid. You see, when someone dismisses your feelings, they're not just brushing off an emotion, they're rejecting a part of you. Your feelings are connected to your experiences. They are tied to your memories, your beliefs, and your very identity. And when someone says you're overreacting, they are saying your experiences don't matter. You don't matter. That cuts deeper than any insult or slap you could ever get. Now, I want to tell you something, because a lot of people have trouble understanding this. The people who truly care about you, they don't dismiss your feelings. They may not always understand what you're going through, but they'll honor it. They'll listen. They'll be there. They'll try. They'll make an effort because they want to understand your world. Here's the thing about love. It's not about having all the answers. It's about showing up. It's about showing empathy, being there even when things are hard, even when you don't get it. But when someone dismisses you, when they look at you and say, you're overreacting, it's not that serious. That's telling you one thing loud and clear. They don't care enough to understand. They're telling you that your heart doesn't matter as much as their convenience. Let me tell you, this is a dangerous game. Once someone dismisses your feelings, it starts a pattern. It's not just a one-time thing. They'll do it over and over again. And the more it happens, the more you start questioning yourself. You begin to believe that your emotions don't count. You start questioning your own value. You wonder, maybe I'm just being dramatic. And that, my friend, is when you've got to check yourself. You are worthy of being heard. You are worthy of your feelings being validated. You should not have to fight for the right to be understood. That's not love. That's not respect. That's not respect. That's not care. The people who care about you will not make you jump through hoops for empathy. Think about the times in your life when you were at your lowest. Maybe you were stressed, heartbroken, or overwhelmed. You reached out to someone hoping for comfort, hoping for understanding. But instead, they brushed you off. They told you to get over it or made you feel like it was no big deal. I want you to really remember how that felt. It wasn't just disappointment, it was betrayal. Because they didn't just dismiss your feelings, they abandoned you. And then let me tell you something. That abandonment, it'll leave scars. And those scars, they're tough to heal. That's why you've got to let people in your life who can see you. People who won't dismiss your feelings but will honor them. And don't let anybody make you feel like you're wrong for wanting that. So here's the bottom line. Don't you ever let somebody tell you that your feelings don't matter. Don't ever let someone dismiss you. And don't ever let someone dismiss you, and don't ever make excuses for them. God gave you emotions for a reason. He made you in His image, and that means your feelings are valid. You're not overreacting. You're not too sensitive. What you feel is real, and if someone can't respect that, then it's time to let them go. Remember this, if they can't see you for who you really are, God will send you people who will. Trust Him. Keep your faith. Don't settle. You're worth more than that. You ever been so frustrated that you just had to speak up? You shared your feelings. You told someone what was bothering you, and what did they say? Why are you so worked up? It's not that big of a deal. I'm telling you right now, those little dismissals, they start small, but over time they add up. And let me tell you, they hurt. It's like every time they brush you off, a little piece of trust and connection gets chipped away. You might try to confront them, tell them how their actions are making you feel. And sometimes they'll apologize and promise, I'll do better, I'll listen more. But other times, they flip the script. They say, you're too sensitive. You're being too dramatic. Why are you making such a big deal out of nothing? Now hold on a second. Let me break something down for you. That ain't accidental. When someone dismisses your feelings, that's a choice. And the truth is, dismissing your emotions, it's all about control. It's a way to shut down the conversation, avoid taking responsibility, and keep power in the relationship. That's what it is. They don't want to deal with it, so they make you feel like you're the problem for wanting to be hurt. But here's what you need to understand, and I need you to hear me loud and clear. When someone dismisses your feelings, they're basically saying, I don't want to deal with this. And yeah, they might think they're avoiding the discomfort, but all they're doing is pushing you away. You deserve better than that. You deserve people who will listen, who will see you, who will value you. And let me be real. The people who truly care about you, they won't always get it right. They'll mess up sometimes, but they'll try. They'll ask questions. They'll listen. Without judgment, they'll put in the effort to understand where you're coming from. But when someone dismisses your feelings, that's not just hurtful. It's a sign that they're not willing or able to meet you halfway. Now here's the kicker. The person who's dismissing your feelings might be someone you deeply care about. It could be a friend, a partner, or even family. And that makes it even harder to face the truth. You want to believe they care. You want to believe they've got your back. But here's the reality. Ignoring their behavior doesn't make it hurt any less. In fact, it just prolongs the pain. You'll stay stuck in this cycle of trying to get validation, and it might never come. And that, my friend, is where you've got to make a decision. Your feelings, they are your compass. They guide you. They tell you what's right, what's wrong, and what you need. And when someone dismisses those feelings, they're trying to silence your compass. They want you to doubt yourself. But let me tell you something. Don't you let them. Don't let anyone make you question what you feel. Your emotions are valid. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. Because when you stop trusting your own emotions, that's when the real danger begins. Over time, you'll start to shrink yourself. You'll hold back your feelings, your fears, your joys, just to avoid the hurt of being dismissed. You won't share your victories because you've learned that they'll be met with indifference. You won't express your pain because you've been taught that it doesn't matter. But listen, that's no way to live. You were not put on this earth to tiptoe around someone's indifference. You deserve relationships where you can be your full self, where your feelings, all of them, are welcome. And let me tell you, walking away from someone who dismisses your feelings is not easy. It takes strength, it takes courage, and it takes a deep belief in your own worth. But sometimes walking away is the only way to protect your heart. And you want to know something? The people who truly care about you, they're never going to question whether your feelings matter. They'll show you through their actions that your emotions are safe with them. But when someone dismisses your feelings, it's not just a one-time thing. It's a seed of doubt they're planting inside you, a seed that will grow over time, making you wonder if you're asking for too much. That's the power of dismissiveness. It doesn't just hurt you in the moment, it erodes your self-esteem, your confidence. It makes you think maybe I am too much, maybe I'm just asking for too much. And when that happens, you start questioning your right to feel in the first place. But let me tell you something, and I want you to take this to heart. You have a right to feel. You have a right to be heard. Your feelings are part of what makes you who you are. They are the raw, unfiltered reactions to the things you've been through. The highs, the lows, the joy, the pain. When you're happy, your feelings radiate joy. When you're hurt, those feelings sound the alarm telling you something's wrong. These emotions are your guide. They help you navigate life. But when someone dismisses them, they're telling you your guide doesn't matter. Your emotions don't matter. And that's like being in the dark trying to find your way with no light, no map. You're left stumbling, unsure of whether you're heading towards safety or deeper into danger. And I'll tell you, the person who dismisses your feelings may not realize what they're doing. They may not care, but the damage, it's real. Here's where it gets tricky. When you internalize that dismissal, you start treating your own feelings with indifference. You'll stop trusting yourself. You'll stop trusting yourself. You'll stop sharing your thoughts, your concerns, your joys, because you've been conditioned to believe that they don't matter. You've been told that you're too much, too sensitive, or over-dramatic. But let me tell you, when you stop being your authentic self, you sacrifice the only thing that makes a relationship real. Authenticity is the foundation of connection, and without it, relationships turn superficial. They lose depth, they lose intimacy, and they lose trust. You may find yourself surrounded by people, but feeling profoundly alone, because no one truly knows the real you. And let me take it one step further. This doesn't just affect your relationships with others. It affects the relationship you have with yourself. When someone dismisses your feelings over and over again, it starts to make you doubt your own perception. You begin to ask, was it really that bad? You start questioning yourself. And when you question your reality, it becomes harder to stand up for yourself in the future. Now listen, suppressing your feelings doesn't make them go away. It just buries them deeper, and eventually that burden becomes too heavy to carry. So here's the lesson for today. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Don't let anyone dismiss you. You are worthy of being seen, of being heard, and of being loved for who you really are. And if they can't handle that, it's time to walk away and protect your peace. God's got better for you. Keep your faith, stay strong, and trust the journey. when your emotions get ignored, brushed aside, or dismissed over and over again. They don't just go away. Oh no, they fester. They simmer under the surface, and they're gonna come back in ways you don't expect. You might start snapping at little things that wouldn't have bothered you before. You might feel drained, exhausted for no apparent reason. And what's worse, the things that used to bring you joy, they start to feel empty. Let me tell you something, this right here, this is emotional exhaustion. You've been carrying around these unspoken burdens for far too long, and it's wearing you down. Now, sometimes people dismiss your feelings not out of malice. Sometimes they just don't have the emotional capacity to handle them. Maybe they're uncomfortable with vulnerability. Maybe they avoid conflict. Or maybe they avoid conflict. Or maybe they're just too caught up in their own mess to give you the empathy you deserve. But listen to me closely. Understanding why they're acting the way they are doesn't excuse their behavior. It doesn't make it okay. It's not your job to teach someone how to care, and it sure isn't your job to shrink yourself down just to fit into their limited emotional capacity. Acknowledging that someone can't or won't value your feelings, yeah, that's painful. But sometimes that's exactly the wake-up call you need. You can't control how other people treat you, but you sure can control what you accept. And if you accept dismissiveness, if you let someone brush your feelings off, you're sending a message to them and to yourself that your emotions are optional, that there's something to be ignored, swept aside, or overlooked. But let me tell you this, your feelings are not optional. They are as real as your heartbeat, and they deserve to be heard, respected, and validated. If someone can't offer that, it's not your shortcoming, it's theirs. People who truly care about you will take the time to listen, even when they don't fully understand. They'll create space for your emotions because they value you, and you've got to learn to stand up for your own feelings. That's an act of self-respect. That's you saying, I matter enough to be heard. Now, I'm not talking about demanding validation from folks who just aren't capable of giving it. No. What I'm talking about is surrounding yourself with people who offer that validation freely. It's about setting boundaries with those who dismiss you and making sure you prioritize relationships where mutual respect is at the heart of it. Let me be real with you. Walking away from someone who dismisses your feelings is not easy. It feels like a loss, especially if that person is someone you care about deeply. But I promise you, it's not a loss. It's a step toward your freedom. You're telling yourself that you will no longer settle for less than you deserve. And when you create that space, you're making room for relationships that nurture you, that build you up. Think about it. The way someone treats your emotions, that's a direct reflection of how much they value you. If they dismiss your feelings, they're showing you that they don't value you enough to make the effort. And I'm telling you right now, you deserve better. You deserve people who will celebrate your wins, hold you up during your losses, and honor every emotion in between. Your feelings are not a burden. They are a gift, the truest expression of your humanity, and they deserve to be treated with care. Now, let me hit you with something else. You've all seen it, right? The people who are only around when it's convenient for them. The ones who show up when they need something from you, your time, your energy, your help. But when it's your turn to need something, oh, suddenly they're too busy, too tired, too unavailable. That's not love. That's not love. That's selfishness in disguise. You know the type I'm talking about. The ones who call you only when they need advice, a favor, or someone to listen to their problems. But when it's your turn to ask for support, they're nowhere to be found. Oh, it starts off small. At first, you might just brush it off. Everyone's busy, you think. But then you start to see the pattern. They only reach out when it serves them. And when you finally muster the courage to ask for something in return, you get the excuses. I've got a lot going on. I can't right now. I wish I could help, but I just can't. And here's the kicker. Those excuses, they might even be valid, but it's not about what they say. It's about what they do. A person who truly cares about you might not always be able to drop everything and come running. But you know what? They'll make the effort. They'll show you that you matter. They'll show you that you matter, that you're a priority. These folks, the ones who only show up when it's convenient for them, their effort is conditional. They're only willing to give when there's something in it for them. You start to notice it more and more. You're the one always making the plans. You're the one keeping the conversation alive. You're the one making the effort to make sure the relationship stays strong. And the moment you stop trying, the silence is deafening. Days turn into weeks, and you realize if you don't reach out, they probably never will. And here's the thing. It's not that they're bad people. They might be funny. They might be funny. They might be charming. They might even be kind in some moments. But when it comes to you, they're just not invested. They're invested in what you can do for them. Let me hit you with the truth. This realization is painful. You start to ask yourself, am I not enough? Did I do something wrong? But listen, their behavior has nothing to do with your worth. It has everything to do with their priorities. Caring for someone isn't just about showing up when it's convenient. It's about showing up when it's hard. When it's inconvenient, when there's nothing to gain, that's how you know someone truly cares. And when you let someone treat you like a convenience, that's when the imbalance starts to drain you. You start feeling like you're just a tool, an afterthought, a means to an end. No one deserves to feel that way. You deserve relationships where the effort is mutual, where you're valued not for what you can give, but for who you are. And if you don't get that, well, then you've got to make the tough choice. You've got to make room for people who truly value you, not just for what you can provide, but for you. Because if you let this go on too long, it's gonna hurt your spirit. It'll chip away at your sense of worth. And I'm telling you, no relationship, no friendship, no connection is worth that. In the end, the truth is this. If they're only around when it's convenient for them, they're not there for you. They're there for what you can do for them. And that's a one-way street. And a one-way street. That'll never take you where you need to go. So remember this. You are worthy of more. You are worthy of love that's real. Love that's consistent and love that sees you for who you truly are. And if someone can't offer that, walk away and make room for those who will. You might catch yourself making excuses for them. Oh, they're just busy. They've got a lot on their plate. Now listen, I'm not saying that's not true. I get it. Life gets busy. We all have responsibilities, challenges, struggles. But here's the thing. Being busy is not an excuse for neglecting the people you care about. Everybody's busy. But the real question is, how much are they willing to prioritize you amidst all the chaos? True care doesn't vanish when things get tough. It doesn't retreat when it's inconvenient. In fact, it's in those inconvenient moments that true care shines the brightest. When someone takes the time to show up for you, even when they're juggling 100 things, that's when you know they really care. But if someone is only there for you when it suits them, let me tell you something. You don't need to make any more excuses for them. Their actions are telling you everything you need to know. You deserve better. You deserve relationships built on mutual effort, where both sides are equally invested in each other's well-being. You deserve people who show up not because they have to, but because they want to. And if they're not willing to do that, that's a red flag, my friend. That's a sign that their priorities don't line up with yours. And I'm telling you right now, recognizing this truth, it's going to hurt, especially if that person has been in your life for a long time or if you care about them deeply. But I need you to hear this. Holding on to a one-sided relationship only prolongs the pain. You'll be stuck in a cycle of disappointment, hoping they'll change, waiting for them to come through for you. And here's the hard truth. People rarely change unless they want to. If someone's default is to prioritize their convenience over your well-being, it's unlikely they'll suddenly become the supportive, caring person you're hoping for. Change is possible, but it requires self-awareness effort and a genuine desire to grow. And that's not something you can force. Let me say this again. Your time, your energy, your love, they're valuable. They're valuable. They're not resources to be given away freely to people who don't appreciate them. When you keep investing in someone who only takes and never gives back, you're pouring your energy into a black hole. And the longer you do it, the more drained you become. Now, walking away from a relationship like this isn't easy. No one said it would be. It requires strength, courage, and a deep belief in your own worth. But sometimes letting go is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for the other person. It sends a clear message. I value myself too much to settle for less than I deserve. And when you make that tough choice, you create space for relationships that are truly fulfilling. Relationships where the care is mutual, where the connection is real. Real care isn't about convenience. It's about commitment. It's about showing up even when it's hard, even when there's nothing to gain, even when it's inconvenient. And if someone isn't willing to do that, well, that's a clear sign they don't value the relationship as much as you do. You deserve to be surrounded by people who make you feel seen, valued, and cherished, not just when it's easy, but always. I know it's a hard truth to face, but one that must be faced. People who only show up when it's convenient for them, they're not genuinely invested in you. They may enjoy your presence, appreciate what you bring to the table, and show affection when it suits them, but their actions speak louder than any words they could ever say. You are more than a momentary distraction or a temporary benefit in someone else's life. And yet, staying in relationships where you're treated like that can make you forget your own worth. But you need to remember this. True care isn't just about sharing laughs during the good times. It's about being there through the storms, through the struggles, and the moments where there's no immediate reward for offering support. True care means investing in the connection, not because it benefits you, but because you value the other person. But those who only show up when it's convenient, they don't operate on this level. For them, relationships are more like transactions. They measure their involvement based on what they can get, not what they can give. Not what they can give. If being there for you requires effort, they'll retreat. They might throw out excuses that seem reasonable on the surface, but when you step back and look at the pattern, you'll see the truth. It's not about occasional lapses or genuine moments of unavailability. It's about consistently not showing care. And here's where the real damage happens. The longer you stay in these relationships, the more normalized that behavior becomes. You start to second guess yourself. Am I asking for too much? Is this just how people are? No, my friend, it's not. True, meaningful connections don't feel like a one-sided effort. They don't leave you feeling empty, unseen, or unimportant. And let me tell you the toll this takes on your emotional well-being. It's real. When you're always the one giving, always the one reaching out, always the one reaching out, always the one making the effort, it drains you. It's like pouring water into a cup with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you pour, it never fills. And over time, you're going to start feeling resentful, exhausted, or even numb. And that is no way to live. Now, I want you to understand something. Convenience-based relationships, they're not always malicious. Sometimes people are just unaware of their own selfish tendencies. They don't realize how their lack of effort impacts you. But whether intentional or not, their behavior still has consequences. And it is not your job to constantly explain, justify, or excuse their lack of effort. At the end of the day, you deserve people who prioritize you, who show up for you, not just when it's easy or convenient, but always. You deserve relationships where the effort is mutual, where the love is real, and where you feel seen, valued, and respected. So remember this, you are worth the effort. Don't settle for anything less. You deserve the kind of care that's there for you, even when it's inconvenient. Listen up, because this is one of the most powerful realizations you'll ever come to. The way someone treats you is a direct reflection of their values, not your worth. Let me say it again, so you hear me loud and clear. Just because someone doesn't show up for you doesn't mean you're unworthy of love or care. It simply means they don't have the capacity or the willingness to meet you where you are. And guess what? That's on them, not you. When you let these kinds of relationships linger in your life, you're basically telling yourself that this is the best you can do, that this level of care is all you deserve. But deep down, you know that's not true. You know you're capable of giving so much more, and you deserve to receive just as much in return. Sometimes walking away from these relationships, it's the most loving thing you can do for yourself. It's not about punishing anyone or holding grudges. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. It's about making room for the people who truly value you, who will show up, even when it's inconvenient. When you let go of those convenience-based relationships, something incredible happens. You begin to rediscover your own worth. You realize your time and energy are precious. You start to see that your love is a gift and that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. And guess what happens when you set those boundaries? You begin to attract people who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can offer them. You might not find a lot of these relationships, but I'll tell you this, when you do, they will be meaningful, real, true. The kind of connections that remind you what it feels like. But here's the tough part. This journey begins with seeing the patching, but they're necessary. Because until you see the imbalance, you can't take the steps to correct it. Choosing yourself, it's not selfish, it's necessary. And let me tell you, this is a lesson that will serve you for the rest of your life. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your wins, who comfort you in your losses, and who stand by you. No matter what, these are the people who truly care about you. These are the people who see you as a priority, not an option. They might not be perfect. They'll make mistakes like we all do, but their effort will always be there. Now, let me hit you with the third sign. People who don't care about you will try to make you feel small. Oh, anyone could have done that. Orthos are... But here's the deal. If they really love you, if they truly care for you, they won't dim your light. They will fuel it. There's something deeply unsettling about being around people who trivialize your struggles. Like your pain is an inconvenience to them, or your battles don't matter. That's some dismissive behavior that cuts way deeper than seen. Heard and understood. When someone dismisses what you're going through, they're not just failing to support you. They're invalidating your very experience. You might recognize this pattern in people who casually say things like, "It's not that bad," or "You get over it." Why? Because they don't want to deal with it. It's uncomfortable. It's inconvenient. And let's face it, they might not have the emotional capacity to empathize. So instead of offering support, they minimize your pain, leaving you to wrestle with it alone. And that can start to make you question your own feelings. You might start to think, am I overreacting? Am I overreacting? Is my pain really that bad? But let me tell you this, your pain is real. No one has your pain, doesn't matter enough for me to take seriously. But no matter the reason, it's still a reflection of them, not you. Still, knowing that doesn't make it hurt any less. When someone you care about dismisses your struggles, it feels like a betrayal. This is someone you trusted, someone you hoped would be there for you. Instead, they've just dismissed you because it forces you to confront the painful reality. They might not be as invested in you as you are in them. Try small. But let me tell you this, your struggles matter. They're not the right person for you. Look, I need you to hear this loud and clear. If you're bottling up your emotions because you think no one will understand or care, you're carrying a heavy load, and it's one you don't need to bear alone. Your pain, your struggles, they are valid. And I'm here to tell you this, struggles are not a competition. It doesn't matter how your pain compares to someone else's. If something hurts you, it deserves to be acknowledged and addressed. Here's the truth. No one else gets to decide what's worth your tears, your anger, or your sadness. That's on you. When someone repeatedly downplays what you're going through, it creates a toxic imbalance that's hard to ignore. You start to feel unheard, unseen, and undervalued. And that's not something you should settle for. The person who dismisses you, whether they mean to or not, is telling you that they're not willing to engage with the deeper, more vulnerable aspects of the relationship. And that messes up trust, intimacy, and connection, leaving both of you unfulfilled. Here's the kicker. This kind of trivialization doesn't just mess with your relationship with the other person. It messes with how you relate to yourself. If you're constantly told your struggles aren't valid, you might start to internalize that message. You'll begin to dismiss your own feelings, thinking, maybe I'm being dramatic. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. And that, my friend, is where the danger lies. That kind of self-neglect opens the door for emotional and mental health issues. Things like chronic stress, anxiety, depression, feelings of unworthiness, and despair. Here's the thing. People who trivialize your struggles, they're often doing that to avoid dealing with their own pain. By minimizing yours, they create distance from their own discomfort. They don't want to deal with the messiness of their own emotions, so they make yours seem smaller. But guess what? In the process, they're not just failing to support you. They're missing out on the chance to build a deeper, more meaningful connection with you. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward breaking free from its hold. When someone constantly trivializes your struggles, it's a sign that they either can't or won't give you the support you need. Now, that doesn't make them a bad person, but it does mean their capacity for empathy and care is limited. And that's a reality you need to accept. Look, I know it's tempting to want to help them see the impact of their behavior. You might want to fix them, make them understand how their actions are hurting you. But let me say this, it is not your responsibility to fix them. What you can do is focus on creating relationships where your struggles are met with compassion, understanding, and respect. Surround yourself with people who listen without judgment, who validate your feelings, and who offer support without trying to fix you. Those are the people you need in your corner. Those are the people who will remind you that you're not alone, that you're not alone, that your pain is real, and that it's okay to not be okay. But you've also got to practice self-validation. That means reminding yourself that your feelings are valid even when others fail to acknowledge them. Find spaces where you can express yourself freely, whether that's through therapy, journaling, or talking to a trusted friend. The more you honor your own emotions, the less power others will have to dismiss them. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to let go of relationships where trivialization has become a pattern, especially if you care deeply about that person. But let me tell you, staying in these dynamics does more harm than good. You deserve relationships where your struggles are met with empathy, not indifference. By choosing to prioritize your emotional well-being, you're taking a powerful step toward creating a life filled with genuine, supportive relationships. Your struggles, they are not insignificant. They are a part of your journey, a testament to your resilience and a reflection of your humanity. Anyone who dismisses them, they're missing out on the opportunity to truly know you, to walk alongside you through your pain and triumphs. And yes, while it's natural to grieve the loss of a relationship that's fallen short, remember, letting go makes room for something better, something that aligns with the care, respect, and validation you deserve. Now, let me drop this final truth on you. Relationships, whether they're friendships, family, or romantic, are meant to be a two-way street. When you're the only one putting in effort, when you're the only one giving, something's wrong. You're pouring into a cup with a hole at the bottom, and no matter how much you give, it'll never fill up. You deserve relationships where the effort is mutual, where both people show up and contribute. And if you're in a relationship where it's one-sided, where they're taking more than they give, it's time to reassess. You deserve better. And I'm telling you, once you recognize that, you'll start to attract the kind of people who understand the true value of mutual care, respect, and love. Listen up. If you're in a relationship with someone who's just taking from you emotionally, mentally, and maybe even financially, while giving nothing back, that's a serious problem. It's like they're draining your energy, leaving you feeling empty, exhausted, and questioning your own worth. But here's the truth, and you better believe it. Someone who truly cares about you will pour into you just as much as you pour into them. Let me break it down. One of the clearest signs that someone doesn't truly care about you is when they consistently prioritize their needs over yours. And I'm talking all the time, no matter what the situation is. At the heart of any healthy relationship, whether it's romantic, familial, or a friendship, is a balance of give and take. Both people should feel valued and supported. And when that balance is missing, it's not just frustrating, it's a deep betrayal. You see, when someone consistently puts their own needs above yours, they're coming from a place of self-interest. They might even try to justify their behavior, tell you it's just a necessity or a minor inconvenience to you. But over time, you'll start to see the pattern. And trust me, that pattern, it's a lack of genuine care. If someone is always prioritizing their own comfort, desires, or convenience over your well-being, they're sending you a message. Your needs, your feelings, your contributions, they're secondary. That kind of behavior can show up in a lot of ways. Maybe it's a friend who only calls you when they need something but never thinks to check in on you. Or a partner who always expects you to shift your plans for them but never reciprocates. Or it could be a family member who expects you to drop everything for them but disappears when you need help. Small actions, sure. But when you add them up, it's a major imbalance in the relationship. And when you're the only one giving, accommodating, and sacrificing your own needs to keep the relationship afloat, that's when you start to feel like you've taken on a role you never asked for. At first, you might not even notice it. You might tell yourself they're just going through a tough time. I'm being loyal. I'm just showing them that I care. But as time goes on, you'll realize something. The relationship is revolving around them, and your needs, well, they're pushed to the side. Now, the emotional toll of constantly putting someone else's needs first is real, y'all. You start to feel invisible. Your desires and boundaries get disregarded, and that wears you down. It's exhausting always being the one to compromise, adjust, and give without getting that same effort in return. Eventually, this imbalance can leave you questioning your own self, worth wondering, do I deserve more? And here's the cold, hard truth. Yes, you do. Relationships are not supposed to be one-sided. They're meant to be partnerships, a mutual exchange of care and effort where both people feel valued. And if that balance is missing, It's not just about incompatibility, it's about a lack of respect. And respect, that's non-negotiable in any healthy relationship. Now, I know it can be tough to recognize this kind of behavior when you care deeply about someone. You want to see the best in them, so you make excuses. You tell yourself they didn't mean to prioritize themselves. They don't realize the harm they're causing. But here's the thing. The longer you stay in these relationships, the more obvious it becomes that this isn't a one-time thing. This is a pattern. And that realization, it can be painful, especially if the person you care about is the one who's been taking and not giving. You might feel guilty for wanting to step back, but let me tell you something. You're not being selfish. Prioritizing your own well-being is necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. Staying in a relationship where your needs are constantly overlooked is only going to deplete you more. Now, here's the kicker. People who prioritize themselves aren't always doing it out of malice. Sometimes it's a lack of self-awareness, or they just can't see beyond their own perspective. They might not even realize how their actions are affecting you. But while their intentions might not be harmful, the effect of their behavior still is. And it is not your job to continuously educate or accommodate them at the expense of your own well-being. When you do confront this behavior, you might face resistance. People who are used to being prioritized aren't going to take kindly to being called out. They might accuse you of being selfish or overly sensitive or flip the narrative to make you feel like you're the one in the wrong. That's a deflection. Don't let it throw you off course. Your needs are valid, and asking for reciprocity in a relationship, that's not unreasonable. If someone truly cares about you, they'll listen. They'll adjust. They'll adjust. They'll reflect on their actions and make the effort to restore balance. They won't dismiss your concerns or make you feel guilty for expressing them. That's how you know they're committed to the relationship and to you. So, if you're in a relationship where it's all take, it's time to reevaluate. You deserve balance. You deserve balance. You deserve to feel valued. And if someone truly cares about you, they'll show up for you, not just when it's convenient for them, but all the time. If someone keeps prioritizing themselves despite all your efforts to talk things through, that's not just a mistake. It's a sign that their care for you is conditional. Their love is based on how much you're willing to sacrifice for their benefit. And trust me, that kind of relationship, it's not sustainable. You can't build something lasting on a foundation of imbalance and self-interest. True care, that's about effort, empathy, and the willingness to meet each other halfway. It's about valuing the other person's needs as much as your own. And when you don't have that balance, that connection is going to crumble under the weight of its inequities. Relationships are meant to be mutual, not transactional. You both should be putting in the work to make things grow. Now, I know that walking away from a relationship where you've been giving and giving and giving only to have your needs overlooked is one of the hardest decisions you'll ever make. But it's necessary, and it's not just about that person's behavior. It's about facing your own patterns too. You'll have to ask yourself some tough questions. Why did I tolerate this? Why did I keep giving when my needs were never met? And those aren't easy questions to answer, but they're crucial. Because until you understand why you allowed that imbalance, you can't break the cycle and create healthier relationships in the future. Walking away isn't about not caring for the other person. It's about caring for yourself. It's about respecting your own worth enough to demand better. When you make that choice to walk away, you're setting the standard for how you deserve to be treated. And let me tell you this, when you choose you, you're telling the universe that your needs matter, not just in this relationship, but in every relationship moving forward. Yes, the aftermath can be lonely, especially if this person was a significant part of your life. You might miss the good moments. You might grieve what could have been, but listen, as time goes on, you'll start to see the benefits of prioritizing yourself. You'll feel more energy, more clarity, and more space to focus on the people and things that truly matter. And here's the beauty of it. When you start building relationships that are balanced, where both people value each other equally, you'll look back and wonder why you ever settled for anything less. You'll remember what it feels like to be cared for, not out of obligation or convenience, but because you're valued for who you are. Now, when you take a hard look at someone who constantly prioritizes their needs over yours, it becomes clear this pattern isn't an oversight. It's a reflection of how they view relationships. For them, it's not about mutual care. It's about what they can gain. And I know most of the time, they don't even realize they're doing it. But whether intentional or not, the damage is done. This behavior often stems from a sense of entitlement or a lack of empathy. People who are self-centered rarely stop to think about how their actions affect others. They don't see the effort you put in because they've gotten used to you always being there. And over time, that effort becomes expected, not appreciated. They stop seeing you as someone they care about and start seeing you as a resource. And the more you give, the less they see it as a gift, and the more they start taking it for granted. And here's the kicker. It doesn't just affect how they see you. It starts to affect how you see yourself being treated as second best, being put in a position where your needs are constantly overlooked. That will make you feel like you're not enough. You might even begin to think that your desires are less valid. That maybe you have to earn someone's care by proving your worth. And let me tell you, that mindset is toxic. It'll keep you stuck in relationships where wellowing is an afterthought. But recognizing this pattern is the turning point. That's when you get to take back your power. When you see it for what it is, you can start setting boundaries. You can decide what you will and won't accept. And you can start surrounding yourself with people who respect your needs as much as they respect their own. And let me tell you, choosing yourself isn't easy. It's painful. Especially when you care about someone and you have to face the reality that they don't feel the same way. But ignoring these signs doesn't make them go away. It just drags out the hurt. The longer you stay in a relationship where you're not valued, the more you're denying yourself the love and respect you deserve. You deserve people who lift you up, who cherish you, who see your worth even when you doubt it. And if the people around you aren't doing that, it's time to let them go. It's time to let them go. It's time to protect your peace, reclaim your energy, and surround yourself with people who truly care. Because here's the thing, the people who love you, the people who truly value you, they won't make you question it. Their actions will speak louder than words. They won't make excuses. They won't make you second. Guess yourself. And at the end of the day, it's not about whether they care. It's about whether you keep letting their behavior make you forget your worth. It's time to choose you. It's time to recognize your value. And it's time to walk away from anyone who doesn't see it, because your peace, your worth, and your happiness are too important to compromise. You've got one life. Live it with people who see the amazing person you truly are.